Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Tarina. I am going to use this current catalog here from Close to My Heart, and I closed my eyes and I flipped through it and I put my finger on whatever I was going to be inspired by and opened my eyeballs, and that was the picture. So I'm going to see if I can put the image that I used as inspiration up in one of these corners here on YouTube. I'm not sure if I can or not, but I'll give it a shot. I've seen a couple ladies do it here for their videos, and it has inspired me to do the same. I like being able to see what was the original inspiration. So I didn't know what, I knew I needed to make cards, and I didn't know what I wanted to use or what kind of design I wanted to do, so I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna wing it. So that is one thing about Close to My Heart catalogs, is that you can use the images for inspiration. So I do not have the stamp set that is that was featured in the on that page in the catalog. Um, I don't have the papers from that card in the catalog. So I'm going to be using the It Feels Like Home collection, and it's going to have a totally different feel, but I'm hoping that it will work out just fine. Now, since I'm doing the voiceover, I do know what it turns out like, and I love this card. But at the time, I didn't know how in the world I was going to use that as inspiration, and I had made a couple of cards and before this, and if you've watched my last video, you'll see that you'll see the card that I made, and it does not turn out like that one. It is a bit different from that one. So I'm kind of excited about the idea. And once I actually started doing this, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can do the, make a card from the inspiration of any of these, I think. I think. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I can adapt pretty well with what I have. So, I mean, you'll see in the next couple of card videos that it gets a little wild, but I still do end up liking my cards. So I think that's kind of what matters. If you've watched my previous video, I did not take this same approach. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. So those, real quick, those are I think it's called decorative tags from Close to My Heart. Let me look real quick. Let's see, we've got fancy tags from Close to My Heart. And I will tell you what, I love that set. I use them on a lot of my projects, and I have a feeling in my future I will be using them a lot then too. So they're very, very useful, and it's kind of nice being able to just, I mean, if you need a tag, you just cut one out. You don't have to load paper and all that kind of stuff on my silhouette, which I totally could just cut them all out and have them sitting around and just have them there when I use them, but I don't make the same style of card often enough to do that. The only thing that I think I would do that with is maybe the card base. So, I mean, it just didn't make sense to, to pre-cut everything with the silhouette. So, I do appreciate having those around. Now, I was very lazy and just wanted to, cut around the word thanks, and then I decided, you know what, I can't handle crooked paper very well, so just because if I cut it crooked now, then I have to deal with crooked later, and I'd really, really, really just rather make it straight now and then deal with straight later. It just makes so much more sense to me. So I tried. I really did try it, but it just wasn't happening. So that is how quick my tag comes out. And then I do the word thanks 3 times. And I fast forward that for you guys until I'm gluing them together. So I pick out my two-way zig glue or zig two-way glue pen, however you want to say it. Anyways, and then I just glue them together so it's a little bit thicker, kind of like a thicker. Yeah. And then I'm just kind of trying to figuring out exactly, how I want this to go. So I'm still using that um, uh, photo in the catalog as a kind of a jumping off point. And right now I'm going through my ribbon, evidently, because I pull out a couple of different ribbons that I'm not sure that I want to use, but um, we'll see. Pretty sure I remember which one I use, but it's not ribbon. It looks like ribbon, but it's not ribbon. This one here that I'm pulling off. It's, I want to say it's seam binding. And it's probably ancient because it probably came from either my mother or my grandmother, which probably came from my grandmother. So it's an oldie but a goodie. And of course, then I take it off and turn it around, and then later I will take it off and turn it around because I end up liking the other side better. But before that happens, I would have to say I've kept these scissors as paper scissors, so they really don't cut. Um, they don't cut ribbon or seam binding very well. So, anyways, so if you have older catalogs, which I think I'm going to kind of challenge myself to use older catalogs and try this again, I think that would be kind of cool. But you can do that with the catalogs, which is one of my favorite things about having the catalog is that I can use them for years to come for inspiration. So um, right now I'm painting watercolor paper with zig real brush markers or pens, whatever the heck you call them. So I just kind of I stamped them in, let's see, where is it here? Of course, Intense Black from Close to My Heart. And oh my goodness, I'll tell you what, you want an ink that works great with watercolor, and like you can seriously saturate your paper with water and it does not move the ink. And I'll tell you what, the Intense Black from Close to My Heart is just that. It is wonderful. So I just lightly dampened the paper around, where I knew I wanted to watercolor, and then I sort of let it dry a little bit, and then I just went in with the Zig Color pen and um, added a little bit of color down where it's shaded, and then I kind of moved it up to the rest of the flower with just a lightly damp watercolor brush, and that worked out great. So I'm just kind of doing the same idea. I did both the rose and the little actual peony. It's a peony. Ha 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 ha. So I did the peony and the little peony bud the same way before I recorded it for you guys, just because I knew it was going to take a long time to get all of these done. So like I said, I'm just going to go over the top of them lightly with a little bit of watercolor. I don't want it to puddle. I just want it to lightly soak in the top. And then I'm going to go over with my color. And I very well could have just watercolored them, but you can just color with the color. And I do go over these with a darker color. Um, I think I mentioned it in my last video. Let's see, we've got crocodile green and olive green are the two colors that I use again. So it goes pretty well, and then I blend it with my water. And that actually lightens these up quite a bit. If you wanted it darker, there are darker colors. Um, or you could just color it like using marker instead of watercoloring, because like I said, watercoloring kind of it lifts the color as well because it moves the color. So what I was trying to do was bring the lighter tone, or bring most of the color back down to the base of the leaf where the shadow would be. So I start at the end and I just kind of pull it back towards the stem. And it also mixes in the darker with the lighter, and it just kind of blends them well. That one turned out a little lighter than I wanted it to be, so I just added a little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in on the big leaf here. Now, if you have not seen this stamp set, it is called Budding Peony from Close to My Heart, and it has a bundle with thin cuts, which are thin metal dies that you can purchase as well. I got the metal die set, and I am so glad that I did, because I have a feeling that I'm going to be using these a lot. So now I'm going to add the dark shading, and I'm just kind of going along with the veins of the leaf that are already, provided. And it just kind of helps darken it up and give it a little bit of depth. And also put some color on there so that I can blend it a bit more as well. And like I said, I don't want a whole lot of water on this, but I don't, I want to be able to move the colors as well. I very well could have used the sapphire from Close to My Heart. However, I knew that I wanted to try out my real brush markers. I hadn't done that before, as far as doing a lot of coloring with the different colors. So it's kind of exciting to be able to use the different colors. So that's kind of where I was, wanting to get some practice in and play with my new toys. So it's been a while. I've had them for a while and I have not been able to use them. So I'm very excited to be able to actually, color with them and bring things to life. So I'm not sure why I spent so much time on this little tiny thing, but it just feels like I spent a lot of time on it. Well, evidently I liked it better, so there you go. And then, yeah, I decided to use the, oh, come on, what is it? Grape, 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 grape. I can't remember the name of it. Grape what? Grape purple. Grape purple. I'm going to have to remember that. Grape purple. I want to say grape wine, but it's not grape wine, because it's actually kind of like a wine color, which grape wine, that would work. But anyways, so actually that looks like I just did it in blue. I very well could have done it on blue. So now I've made a little bit of a mess with my green over here, and so I am going to just add a little bit of water and rub it around and clean up my mess. So that works out pretty good, and I'm just going around all of them and just kind of cleaning up any mess that I made. Some I make worse, and then I have to clean up that mess too, but I still like how it turns out in the end. So I am now cutting out my pieces, and one of them does not turn out exactly how I would like it, which is the multiple leaves piece. I would suggest taping that down on two sides instead of just one like I did. For next time, if you ever do, it's much easier to stamp, paint, and then, or even just stamp and then cut. I did at some point try to cut it and then stamp it, and it's way easier to stamp and then cut. So, but possibly before you do all of the watercolor, just, stamp and cut it, and then, but yeah, definitely see how it moved there. Yeah, you definitely want to tape it down on two sides. Boo. Boo. I just trimmed off some of the white so that it looked a little bit more even, and I went ahead and used that. And I'm just going to pull all these out. See, that turned out perfect. And that one too. And I don't even remember what I'm doing next. I think, if I remember right, I pull out... Oh, yeah, look at that. Now I'm up to putting it together, or figuring out where I want it to be. Yeah, you could see there that I trimmed up that little piece there, just added a little, or cut off a little bit of the white, and it doesn't look bad at all, so I was excited about that. That was an easy fix, so. And I'm just kind of not sure that I want that little piece up there. And the word thanks just kind of, it feels kind of like it's swimming. It's like it's on a large area that needs something. It just feels like it needs something. And I don't know that I showed you that hexagon honeycomb shape paper. I distressed the edge with my close to my heart edge distressor. And here I go again, changing out the ribbon, which is a ribbon. It's a seam binding, but you'll see why, and I like it way better. Way better. It looks, the pink just kind of threw me off, and once I saw it with the black and white, I was like, oh, yes, 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 that's one of my answers. That is so one of my answers. So now I'm trying to hold everything where it is and then glue it down without moving it, which turns out to be way more difficult than it's worth. So I just really liked how I had that placed, and I didn't want it to move, so I figured I'd try it, see if it worked. And I could not for the life of me remember how I had this going, but it was something to that effect. I kind of wish that I had stuck that out the other direction, like facing the other direction, but I didn't, so. I adjusted a little bit, but I still think it could have looked better. Oh well, it's done now. I don't know what it is about this striped paper, but I can tell you that I really like this striped paper. I really like the striped paper. It's kind of got a vintage feel, but it's got I don't know, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, contemporary feel as well, simply because it's lines. But it definitely has a vintage feel because of the off-white tone, which I think we call linen. I think it's called linen. Either linen or mink, which are both vintage word. So I'm straightening out some of the distressing just so that I can lay this a little bit flatter. Flatter, flatter, more flat, more flat. I don't know. And then I go ahead and do a lot of taping and with foam tape, and I skip through that for y'all so that you don't have to sit around and wait for me to do all that and then pull all the backs off and everything. So that turned out pretty easy. So if you were to remake this card, it would be fairly simple since all of the thought process is already done. And I'm just going to use my two-way glue pen, which I end up having to get rid of this one eventually, which I have had for a long time, long time, and use my new one. Sorry about that. It is almost lunchtime and I am starting to get tired. I'm not sure exactly what it needs, but it needs something, and I just gotta figure out what that is. And I don't even remember this part. Oh, it needed to be more on an angle to fill up that empty space, I think. I think I go ahead and clip off the little stem of that and then just tuck it right down in there on foam. And that would have been my head real quick. And I think that's, well, that's it until I realize that I need bling. Got to have me some sparkles. So I go ahead and just kind of drop it on there and then, per my usual, figure out what I'm doing with it. Yeah, time to get the quicker picker, poker, whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called. There it is. And what I'm doing is because this container comes with a whole bunch of different colors, or what did I say last time? Finishes on the sequins, like they have a like high gloss, high sheen, metallic, and then they have like a you know how you do like a brushed nickel or brushed copper? It's like a brushed tone or matte, I guess. Um, they also have a couple of different shades of gold, and they have, I think there's white or clear in there, and then they have an iridescent clear, and then they have iridescent stars, and so I had to go through and figure out what I wanted where and which ones I didn't want where, and the ones that I did like that were the, high sheen metallic, I switched out for the same size or a different size because they have different sizes in there as well. So I just kind of sprinkled it on and then adjust it from there. I think that's what I do every time. It's just a little bit easier for me. And then one thing about this picker-upper thingy is it's got green sticky stuff on the back side, and so I can just dip it down into the bag and pull out the one particular sequin that I'm looking for, which is kind of nice. So I'm just kind of figuring out where I want this to go, and then I think I add bitty sparkles too. I can't remember. Bitty sparkles have always been one of my favorites, so I would be really surprised if I didn't put those on there. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. But this is pretty much what the card looks like, other than adding some, like I said, I think I figure out where I want these to go, and then I think I add bitty sparkles, and that's pretty much the card. Um, Now that I think about it, I probably could have stamped something on the inside, like as far as, an image or like in this particular case, I think I would have liked to put um, one of the little peony buds on the inside, maybe in the sapphire color, or even like a linen or mink color, like the gray. Something that's light, that's airy, that doesn't distract from the words or anything that you write in your cards. I didn't do that this time, but that's usually what I'll do. I'll just do like an accent, a very light accent on the inside, just to carry the theme into the inside. But I knew I had like a few more cards to make, so I didn't really want to take all that trouble to do that. When I'm less busy, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen again, but I might do that. But we'll see. So I'm using my liquid glass. It's one of my favorite adhesives from Close to My Heart, and the pointy part of my picker rubber. And so let me see. I'm not even sure. I think I'm looking for my bitty sparkles. I think so. Look. Nope. Wait. What was that? Yep. Those are bitty sparkles. I think those were actually like gold shimmer, what were they called? Shimmer gems or something like that. Glitter gems, gold glitter gems. And I thought those were just too much with the sequins that were already on there. So I'm just going to add some of these bitty sparkles, and that will be my card. I have a few more cards coming up with the same technique of being inspired by my catalog. I hope you guys enjoyed this card, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.